There is a huge problem with rectangular watches, and that is that there is a monopoly on the designs. It's either the Cartier Tank or the Jaeger LeCoultre Reverso. And the Reverso, I would doubt it, because the Cartier Tank has the whole market in his hands. If you see a rectangular watch, there's a 99% chance that it is a Cartier Tank. It's a watch that has been in the market for more than 100 years, and it was inspired by a French tank in World War I. And it has been iconic and a timeless design for over 100 years. Now, there was no real alternative to this expensive watch. Now, if you see my wrist, you're probably thinking, well, yeah, he's wearing a Cartier Tank, but no. There was no alternative until Seiko decided to copy the design. And this might anger a lot of people, but yes, Seiko did a Cartier. Now, in my personal opinion, I think that they didn't copy it well. They tried to tweak the design a little bit, but they just made it look cheaper. For starters, the case is too big. I think it's bigger than the Cartier Tank XL, which is huge, but this watch is way too big to be a tank. Now let's measure it. Log to log measurements is 38.5 and sideways is 28.5. And the strap is 23 millimeters. So it's too big to be a tank, and the straps are too complicated to find replacements or options of different colors. What I think that it's not correct is that Seiko changed the part of the lugs that goes all the way through the watch because they made it super thin, and that makes it feel like a cheap watch, or cheaper than the tank, because of course it's cheaper, but I'm not talking about price, I'm talking about construction. It feels like a cheaper construction, and if you're making a homage, how people call it, you don't want that. And of course they also copied the crown with the stone, which in Cartier is called the cabochon. In here, I don't know how it's called. It's okay, when you start collecting, you probably don't want to spend a lot of money buying a watch, an expensive watch, because the Cartier Tank is an expensive watch. Yeah, you don't want to spend that much money, or you want to try and feel how it feels on your wrist. But that won't work because this watch is too big for a Cartier Tank. But this is an option, an alternative. But the bottom line is that 99% of people that buy this watch buy it because they wanted a Cartier Tank, but they weren't able to buy it for any reason that there is. Now, my problem with this, and it's a personal and psychological problem, because you buy this and you're happy. It comes out of the box, you put it on, and you're like, yeah, I want the Cartier. But the more you look at it, you put it on and you're like, yeah. And you just remember that this is not the Cartier Tank. And you look at it and you're like, yeah, I want the tank. But you just remember that you either can't afford it, don't want to spend the money, or So it's just I like this watch, but it's not the one I want. And that's my problem with alternative watches, that you will never be able to scratch that itch of wanting the other watch. For me, this watch is a reminder. It may be a good watch, it may be a good quality price proposition, but it's just a reminder that this watch is not the Cartier Tank. And that happens at all price levels. Would it be this watch and the Cartier Tank? Or it can be if you want a Submariner, but you can't afford it, so you buy an Omega Seamaster. You will always see that watch and remember it's not the watch that you wanted. Or it could be a Speedmaster and a Daytona. It's the same thing, it doesn't matter about the price. You wanted this watch, you settled for this watch, but you always think about this watch. Now, the thing about this watch is that, yes, it is cheap in price, it is affordable, we might say, because it's an acceptable quality watch for the price. Now, a lot of people may get angry at me because that's what happens, but to be honest, I've held a lot of Cartier Tanks in my hands. Different versions, the Normale, the Louis Cartier, the Must. And this watch fell short. For being a homage or a copy, it fell short. Yes, it looks the same, the dial is the same, the Roman numerals, the track, but it feels cheaper. And I really think that it's because of the lugs. If the lugs were a bit thicker, it would feel a lot more sturdier. I don't think this was the correct way to do it. And I will give you an example of another Seiko that did it correctly. And this is a Seiko from the 70s, 80s that grabs the essence, the beauty of the tank, and applies it to a different design. Yes, we know it is inspired by the Cartier Tank, but we can see the essence, we can see the design, but Seiko made it their design. It's not this that they just copied. Copy paste, just change some things out. This watch is the gold watch, is perfect. This seems just like a copy. To be honest, and as you can see, Homage watches are not my thing, but I actually respect, I try to respect. If you want it, it's a good watch, it's an affordable watch. Just know that it is too big to be a Cartier Tank. And I really respect what you do with your money. It's your money, you can spend it whatever you want. It's not my type, but let me know, what do you think? Is this a Homage? Is this a copy? And we'll talk about that in another video.